Welcome to Trilogy Sports. I'm your boy D. I'm D Rich, D Nice. What's good with you? Hope you're doing well. Let's talk about these coaches in the NFL, bro. The seats are heating up. And halfway through the season, we kind of got a snapshot of how the season's going to go. And there's a handful of coaches in the NFL that need to have a really good rest of the season to save the jobs, okay? The jobs are on the line, right? Let's talk about Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's not ready to be a head coach. You know, Dan Campbell needs to be on someone's team coaching the tight ends. He needs to be coaching Detroit's tight ends because as a head coach, he ain't it. I think they missed on this one. I think they whiffed on this one. I think perhaps Robert Saleh would have been a better choice. Who knows? He got his own struggles in New York, but at least he's winning games, you know, and at least he appears to have found a quarterback in Mike White that can win games. So that's going to be interesting to see. But back to Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has been outcoached in every game that he's been in, for the most part. You could probably say maybe the Baltimore Ravens game, you know, he had an opportunity to win that ball game against a pretty good team. Hey, it happens in the NFL. But all in all, he's been outcoached. He's been tremendously outcoached. And he's even said in his press conferences, I didn't coach well today. I outcoached, you know, didn't play well. You know, defensively, they have no identity. We don't know what they're really good at. They have a lot of players that underachieved, underperformed. And we've seen those players like Michael Brockers, for example. We've seen Michael Brockers in LA be productive, you know, in a scheme that has an identity and has a star player that you can play off of. And you put him in Detroit, and it's like, you know, there's no real identity to what this team is doing. And there's no real sense of adjustment through a game. You know, it's just kind of they kind of game plan what it is that they're going to do. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And granted, when they play the Rams, and that's, you know, one of the better teams on their schedule, they knew that they not going to get turnovers. And you have a feeling that Jared Goff is going to golf. Jared Goff is going to Jared Goff, and he's not going to be able to move the ball. So they kind of have to steal possessions on special teams with, you know, onside kicks and things like that, can trick plays on fourth down, on the punt coverage. But all in all, you know, when it was time to just play football, they got whooped. You know, they got spanked. They didn't particularly do anything all that great, all that special, aside for their special teams, you know. And Dan Campbell's, he's taking the brunt. You gotta look to the head on that. You gotta look to your head coach when it seems that your quarterback isn't really aware of situational football. Situational football, time management, adjustments is on your head coach. Your head coach needs to be telling he needs to tell his defensive coordinator, his offensive coordinator, position coaches, whoever. This is what I'm seeing in the game, and these are the adjustments we need to make to win this game. Point blank. But it seems like that part of Dan Campbell's coaching isn't really present. And I think if you're going to be in a division where you have Aaron Rodgers, when you have teams like Minnesota, and in the conference, if you have Deshaun McVays and some of these really highly intelligent coaches, these high-powered, you know, high-brain coaches in the NFL, you're not going to be able to just kind of out-tough your team. At some point, there has to be strategies to prevent your teams to be in situations where they can lose ball games. That falls on your coach. And Dan Campbell's proven that he ain't ready for all that. You know, as a position coach, you worry about your group. You know, you can preach toughness, especially for tight ends, perfectly fine. But as a head coach, no sir, no bueno. No bueno. What about David Culley? David Culley is so unassuming in the confines of the NFL. People don't even know who he is. Like, if I said David Culley, who's that? You know, like he's not a signature head coach. And granted, he wasn't hired to be. Think about this. Deshaun Watson wanted to be traded out of the building. The GM was looking at the roster and it's like, okay, this is a simple decision to rebuild. Like, we don't have a whole lot of pieces here that's gonna win us a whole lot of games. We have just some, spare car parts here, but we're not gonna be a good team, And the GM know that they're not gonna get a quality coach to come in and coach this team when the GM probably already knew in his mind that Deshaun Watson, that saga was gonna go on. I don't think the GM ever expected to have Deshaun Watson traded the offseason and traded during this season. I expected him, the GM, to elongate this process, and that's why he was like, let me get a coach. Let me get someone that's kind of unassuming, not a big name, someone that would be happy for the opportunity to coach, someone that would normally not even get an opportunity to coach, someone that's low-key, low-profile, that's a good character guy, that will keep the morale of the locker room kind of steady, because it's going to be a rocky season. They're not going to win a lot of games, not very talented, and, you have this Deshaun Watson saga hanging over the franchise's head, and you got to move on from that. But you need a head guy that's willing to take that on, and any head coach worth their salt is not going to dip their toe in this situation with so much, going on with the quarterback position. David Culley was he's a perfect scapegoat. He's the perfect guy that you can bring in for a year and a half until you get the team kind of in a better position to where a more credible head coach, or a head coach you deem more worthy, can actually come in and have the tools to rebuild. Because once you trade Deshaun, get a treasure chest of draft picks, you're exactly where you want to be. You're going to probably get the number 1 or number 2 draft pick this year. Then once you trade Deshaun, you're going to get another probably first, two more first, who knows? Probably another second rounder or 2, possibly a third for kicks and giggles. And then you have a treasure chest of draft picks. You have probably you're either going to figure out what you're going to do with Deshaun's contract, but that's going to be coming off the book soon. You're right where you want to be as a rebuilding team. And any coach, after all that's settled and done with, this job will look more attractive, really, to a more credible coach. So David Culley is on the hot seat by kind of default. It's not his fault. He's doing exactly what he was hired to do, which was to keep the morale up of this team, be a good character guy, get a guy that everybody, kind of want to root for and get behind, even though I suspect that the players know that, okay, Culley's not that guy, He's not Mavay. He's not going to come in here and Mavay us. He's going to just be a guy to keep this boat somewhat afloat until the national captain comes in and steers it. So he's on the hot seat by default, but that don't count. Who else we got? Vic Fangio. Every other week, he's on the hot seat. And he's off the hot seat because he had a very good victory over Dallas this week. And he's above 500. So, his seat is cooled off. But if he loses the next couple games against divisional opponents, and all of a sudden you're looking up at the division at the Raiders, at Kansas City, and at the Chargers, his seat can get hot all over again. Most coaches are on the hot seat based on the lack of productivity they had to begin the season. But Vic Fangio's on the hot seat for potentially what he can do for the next half of the season. If this team falls off the rails for the next half of the season and you start losing games for whatever reason and you're not making any grounds into the division, which is going to be tough, you're going to have some tough divisional games coming up, then Vic Fangio's gone. And they're probably going to want to get a younger head coach to kind of grow with this young nucleus of a team. Vic needs to coach exceptionally well moving forward for him to get another shot at this team next year and beyond. He's an older coach, so, I'm pretty sure, the GMs, pretty sure the owners are having that conversation like, all right, moving forward, our 5-year plan, do we see Vic Fangio in that 5-year plan? And if we don't, do we make a move on him now? Do we give him a shot to kind of make the playoffs next year and see what happens? Or, but that's going to be answered by the end of the season. By the end of the season, you're going to know kind of where they stand on Vic Fangio. Brian Flores, should he be on the hot seat? The guy only had one bad season, really. A season where he was expected to win and he underperformed. Okay, this is really that first situation. Overall, Brian Flores has coached exceptionally well, and he's proven to be a quality head coach in this league. Now, you lose a veteran quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick, whose experience allowed you to put the team in positions to win games that they're losing this season. If they had Fitzpatrick in some of these games that they lost this season, they may have won a couple of those games. And instead of their record now, they might have been 4-4, 5-4, because they had a veteran quarterback that will allow them to make a few more plays. You know what I mean? But it's not Tua's fault. Not at all. Well, besides he get hurt and he's injured and Brissett has to start, that's about it. But, and then, they make some very strange personnel decisions, and it's really predicated on money, let's be honest. But, you get Van Noy, get him for a year, and he's pretty productive. He becomes, I'm pretty sure, a very strong leader in the locker room, and then, boom, you cut him. What? He's a very credible guy, but, they have young depth on this team. And I feel that they are trying to kind of balance the young depth versus the veteran presence, because you need both. And then you got, their guy, Xavier Howard, he's had a saga all year, wanting to be traded, not wanting to be with the team, wanting money, not getting the money, You got that going on too, so something to think about. Is Brian Flores, should he be on the hot seat? I don't think so. I think he's proven that he can coach in this league, and given the right ingredients, he can have a successful season. Okay? And for that, I think you give a coach like that another shot. I don't think you put him on the hot seat just yet. And I think, who would be an improvement over Brian Flores? There may be guys that may have fancier schemes, more of a fancier name than Brian Flores, but his ability to have guys play for him, command a locker room, get guys to play on Sunday, even though they're not winning games, is still a quality coach. I don't think you put him on the hot seat, so I think he should be safe.